Hi, this is William Painter for Journey Road Ministries, second Sunday of Lent. I'm going to play a little song here that I hope you like, and it's relevant to our readings for the day. So let's commence before it gets too late. Years and my life is still trying to get up a great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world's made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? I said, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? God, I do try. I try all the time in this institution, and I pray. Oh my God, I do pray. I pray every single day for revolution, and so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? I said, hey, I said, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? So I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream at the top of my lungs, what's going on? I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? I said, hey, 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 hey. I said, hey, what's going on? Years and my life is still trying to get up a great big hill of hope a destination. I like that song. Okay, back after the pause. Hope you enjoyed that song. Maybe even sang along with it a little bit. So today's reading comes from Matthew 17, verses 1 through 9. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, "This is my Son, the Beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Get up and do not be afraid." And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. And as they were coming down the mountain, Jesus ordered them, "Tell no one about the vision until after the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." That's the passage for today. And I love this passage. I love this passage to death because it is so much the antithesis of what contemporary evangelical megachurch preachers do. Of course, most of the following the teachings of Jesus are the antithesis of these megachurch folks. But I mean, just imagine, just for a moment. I mean, imagine experiencing this. Okay, that you are one of these disciples, and you go and keep in mind, cool things happen on the tops of mountains. So anytime somebody's going up to a mountain, something's fixing to happen. And so they go up the top of the mountain, and Jesus is transfigured and turns into this dazzling, shiny image. And then the heavens open up, and you got Moses and Elijah there, and then you hear this voice, it's like angels when they appear to you or appear to people. They say, "Be not afraid. Don't be afraid." And actually, you really probably ought to be afraid, but they try to comfort you and tell you, "No, don't be afraid. It's okay." That's what Jesus says to these disciples, and then he tells them, "Don't tell anybody." I just love that part. Don't say anything, because here is they actually have 3 witnesses to this. 3 disciples witnessed this amazing event, and Jesus says, "Don't mention it to anybody until I've been resurrected." Okay. Now, you know as well as I do that these texts were written some 60 years after Jesus was crucified. So these stories are ex post facto stories. But and that doesn't matter to me. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is the message that he doesn't want evidence. He doesn't want these people to say, "Hey, look, I saw this with my own eyes. I saw it with my own eyes." In fact, they never actually say that. Okay, it's written third person. Someone like the unseen narrator, right, is narrating this. It's not them that's saying, "Yeah, man, I was up on this mountaintop, and this really amazing thing happened, and I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it with my own eyes." And that no one says that. No one says that. So you imagine you witness an extraordinary event that's inexplicable. Okay, I mean, 2 prophets appear out of nowhere. The heavens open up, and a big booming voice says stuff, and you're like, "Well, I think I'm just going to run down this mountain and tell everybody I know what I just saw, because I'm feeling kind of crazy right now. So I'm going to look for validation with others." That's what we do in the modern world. You see something wild, and the first thing you want to do is tell everybody about it. I mean, if they had cell phones, right, they'd be like filming it, right? I mean, they'd be videoing it, and then you'd see it on TikTok, right, or you'd see it on Twitter, and of course there was none of that there, but there were social networks, and people talked and shared stories, and Jesus is like, "No, don't. Just don't say anything about this. This was for you to see and not for anybody else to experience. And I think about, well, what if I saw, what if I witnessed something? I'd have my phone out and taking pictures of it, and I'd be sharing it with Mary and Cheryl. Oh, wow, look, Mary and Cheryl, look what I just saw, and they'd be going, whoa, that's cool. Here, let's share. And all of a sudden, we're all sharing a video of this. And how would that change? How would that change the nature of our faith? Okay, because faith is not evidence-based. Faith is not evidence-based. If there was evidence, it's not faith, right? I mean, if I could prove something to you, then I don't have to believe in it. People get confused between science and religion. They say, well, I don't believe in science. Well, science doesn't ask you to believe in it. Okay, science doesn't care whether you believe in gravity or not. You can stand up on top of my house and jump off saying, I don't believe in gravity. And gravity doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. Climate change doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. It just is. And so there's no issue of faith in that. Now they say that every scientist worth their salt, when they come to the ultimate ends of their studies, they find God there. And there's a lot of truth to that metaphor. But that's not what's going on here. That metaphor describes the limitations of science, that science can't explain everything. There's this wonderful story about Napoleon's astronomer, and he was putting together a model of the universe. This Napoleon was, obviously during the Enlightenment. There's a lot of Enlightenment philosophers and philosophy, and the birth of science really he was in the birth of science, and he believed in all that. And he had a court astronomer, and they was building a model of the solar system or the universe. I can't remember which. And he showed it to Napoleon, and Napoleon said, well, where is God in this model you've created? And the astronomer says, well, we didn't need God for this model. And so, they only needed God for things they couldn't explain, for things that required faith, all right? And for us, we don't need to be proven. We shouldn't require proof for us to have faith in the things that Jesus told us. The previous passage, the other passage that was part of the lectionary today was this passage of Nicodemus. And I read the Nicodemus passage. It's quite long. Nicodemus asking all these questions, and basically he's saying, what's going on? What's going on? So what's going on? And Jesus is like, when I describe things on earth and you don't believe them, then how can I possibly explain things that happen in heaven and expect you to believe that? You're just not gonna, or you're gonna, okay? And so that song, What's Going On, is kind of all of us. It's kind of all of us who are searching and seeking and wanting to know what's going on, and we're not going to find out. We're not going to find out by science. We're not going to find out by proof. We're not going to find out by talking to witnesses. We're not going to find out by handling snakes and demonstrating that we're not going to get bit. We're not going to find out by healing. Oh look, he put his hands on this person and healed them. So there's proof right there. These are all attempts to prove things. Our faith demands that we do really simple things, but we love each other and we love God, and that's it. That's all we have to do, and that's enough. I mean, that's hard enough. It's hard enough. I've said this before. I don't even like most people, much less love them. And so if I could just focus on that one thing and not be judgmental. It doesn't say, judge others and love God. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say, they're dirty, or they're trans, or they're gay, or they're Jewish, or they're a liberal, or they're a conservative, or they're a fascist. It doesn't say judge them. It just says love them. And so that's enough. That's more than enough for us to do. And so then that is the message here that Jesus is giving us. The message he's giving us is you don't need proof. You should, and don't talk about it. If you witness a great miracle like this, shh, don't talk about it. Okay. All right. Well, that's enough of a message. Sorry for my phone popping off like that. I guess I'll see you in 3 weeks. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And go outside and take a deep breath and get real high and yell, "What's going on?"